ask yourself a damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by SFL CEO, Mr. Zach Stanley.
You know, it's probably good I didn't do the show yesterday.
I don't believe anyone did the show yesterday, Zach.
It's probably good we didn't do the show yesterday.
Were you crying? Was there heavy sobbing that went on yesterday?
There just would have been no point because it would have been all just bad news and negativity from my end. Thankfully, I've had the day to,
process.
Collect myself, and nothing has really gotten much better.
Yeah, I have a feeling most of the show yesterday would have been just you guys going, ugh.
Oh, but I did beat Nick on Sunday in fantasy football.
Yeah, how does that feel? Teddy Bear 2 next to Blanco, how'd that feel?
Oh, it was great. I had the best week of the year, and he had a better week.
So my team is 6-0, so we can at least vouch for our knowledge here.
So you could half vouch for our knowledge because you're at the top, and I think, Nick, you're at the bottom, right?
I basically gave him his team. Just want that known.
That's not.
I want that known. I want to make sure that everyone knows I gave him his team.
See, this is what I love about fantasy. Just that one of you could be riding so high and the other riding so low, and you basically are just as good at fantasy.
He offered the trade, and I just took it.
Oh, that's how that works?
Yeah.
Does it have to do with our buddy G-Reg?
It has a little bit to do with G-Reg and more bit to do with Golden Tate as well.
Oh, you traded away Golden Tate?
I needed a running back.
Joik Bell had a great week.
Joik Bell had a great week, and Reggie Bush is going to come back and ruin all of it. And Kyle Rudolph was part of that trade as well. We won't see him until next year.
No, probably not. No, that's not going to happen.
Crap.
All right, since we didn't get to have a show on Monday, I don't think anybody was doing anything Monday. It was celebration of Laziness Day. What was the actual celebration yesterday? I'm not really sure. I was here. I don't know.
Some guy that accidentally washed up ashore.
Plundering and pillaging and horrible
acts. Happy to all those celebrating.
And met people that were already here.
Yeah, happy plundering and pillaging day to America.
He discovered them.
Oh, yeah.
He made sure that they knew they existed.
The people.
That's where I just go to other people's houses, I discover their land, and I take it. Isn't that what Monday?
That's what America's all about.
Perfect. All right, so we're not talking about America and plundering anymore. We are talking about Week 6 and what happened, which means it's time for Bills talk. We're going to break down, obviously, some of the other exciting games of the weekend, and we're going to do Jonathan's mailbag. But, of course, since it is Tuesday, we're going to do some waiver wire talk. But let's lead it off with the Buffalo Bills, one of the biggest games in the last, 10 years probably, 5, 10 years, something. It was a big... Come on, Nick, you're shaking your head.
Pretty big over-exaggeration once again.
It was a pretty big game. I can't think of a bigger game.
I didn't really expect...
Past 10 years, by week 12, we're usually out of it.
No, yeah, but you know what? The Bills fans, once again, were riding high.
Okay, but what else do they have? You can't just... Okay, if
you have the Sabres. You can, get in line with hockey.
5 years from now.
Aren't they 0-2?
They're going to be 0-70.
There's a lot of promise in the future.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't exactly riding that high on what I thought was going to happen in this game. I thought there was the potential to get something done. Defense.
Yeah, that's true.
Defense did not show up.
Yeah, isn't that supposed to be one of your... Okay, sorry. Both of your strong suits definitely failed on Sunday, that being the defense and the run game, which just straight up didn't show up.
Well, hang on a second. There is no strong suit in the run game this year because Nathaniel Hackett refuses to call running plays.
Okay, yeah, I think the average this season has been 18 carries total for this team?
Probably somewhere in the 20 to 25 range.
That's really bad for a team that has two of the best change pace backs in the league.
And for a team that led the league in rushing attempts last year. So I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially when there's such a huge question mark at the quarterback position. Why aren't you running the ball? You know that you can run the ball. It makes no sense.
That was the most polite thing you've ever said about Kyle Orton. A big giant question mark.
And I'm not here today for this game to provide an explanation because I have no idea what's going on anymore. I'm just frustrated.
Okay, so we went from hopeful to frustrated within one game.
On the defensive side of things, they were just picked apart. And if you looked at how things went, even though they had the big injury, which we'll talk about later, the carries were very spread out. to the point at which you couldn't assume that anybody was in a passing down or rushing situation.
Yeah, there were, 5 different people that carried the ball for New England?
Yeah, and Brandon LaFell had 94 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
So it seemed like the spots at which the Bills had covered, the Patriots figured out a way to exploit it, which is nothing new from what we've seen in the past.
Is it fair to say that Tom Brady went backed into a corner like this where, it's such a big game for Buffalo, they're going to win, they're the big... These are the games where he goes, okay, remember, my name is Tom Brady, this is what I do. He's just let's be honest, he's lights out in big game. He really is.
No.
He kind of figures out when he needs to be.
I'm more impressed by how Bill Belichick is turning things around.
Yeah.
Tom Brady can hit an open receiver when he has time to throw the ball. He's very talented. He's one of the best quarterbacks of our time. But this is a team. This has happened to this team in recent years, where they have started out looking a little questionable, not gotten everything put together, and Bill Belichick has managed to get this team going, to improve the game plans, and to kind of get a gauge on everything else that's going on in the league and make adjustments on the fly.
It's like he just knows he has time to get it figured out because, unfortunately for Bills fans, they are in the AFC East.
Well, yeah,
they get 3 teams that are really in flux almost every year.
Should Bill just assume all of his records will have a 1 in front of them, 10-6, 11-5, 12-4? They're going to finish somewhere in there this season. It just always seems like it happens like this. If you lose 2 games out of the first 5, they just get there.
They find a way.
Yes, they do. Are there any positives to take away from this game for the Bills? Apparently, Sammy Watkins is no longer. Maybe it's the beard gets in Orton's way. You just can't see Sammy Watkins. I'm confused. 3 targets. Are you serious?
I don't understand it. I don't understand why Mike Williams with a healthy scratch. Zach and I, we were talking about this earlier today. Yeah, you could say maybe he did something or maybe he hasn't been working as hard or whatever. I just don't understand what Nathaniel Hackett's goal is as an offensive coordinator. I just don't get it. Are you running the ball? Are you trying to spread the ball around? Are you trying to figure out your core? I just don't know. What are you trying to figure out? What are you trying to do? Please,
these are
give me a shout.
These
I'd
are the
love
questions
to hear.
he's asking himself at the same time, so you're really not going to get an answer here.
It doesn't make any sense.
And Mike Williams had the biggest passing play of the season against Houston, in which he scored a touchdown, and then we just have kind of seen him fall off. Whether he's not happy or whatever's going on, it was surprising for me to see that from a team that has not really come up with a solution. I mean, he's a weapon that they have. He's a weapon that you would think that they would utilize even if he has lost a step.
Let me just throw this question out there. I know Peyton Manning is. We agree he's the best quarterback of our time. But let's just say you took somebody like a Peyton Manning or an Aaron Rodgers, even a Matthew Stafford, and you put him into the Bills' offense. Do you think they would be successful?
I think it would be the best offense in the league.
I just don't. No, listen.
Not Matt Stafford necessarily, but still, the weapons and the speed that they have, the ability to. I mean, I don't understand how they are not able to stretch the field more with the passing threats that they have and allow that running game to improve.
I think Scott Chandler is more of a Heath Miller type. I think he's a little
fine,
bit, which is fine. No, he's more of a possession guy is what I mean. He's not like Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski, even Travis Kelce, those guys that are explosive and big. But you do have Sammy Watkins. Robert Woods is a great possession receiver. Mike Williams has shown flashes of brilliance. And they have 2 running backs. So I don't understand it. I think that the quarterback position being the way it is, I just feel like they made a huge mistake in starting Kyle Orton, and I think that they're just
it's
Out
regression.
of luck. They're
I don't know
out.
what they're doing.
They're 4 running backs. I mean, how is Bryce?
You're right.
Has Bryce Brown gone from being the guy that's second in line to having a 200-yard game? I think it was last year. For the Eagles, as McCoy's straight up backup, to becoming a guy that is also a healthy scratch.
All right. I kind of want to move on because you mentioned something I want to talk about. Confusing running games. Can we talk about the second biggest game of the weekend, just in general? Seattle and Dallas. What the heck was Seattle doing in this game? One of the best rushers in the game and in the last, 8 years? Marshawn Lynch had a 6.1 yard per carry average, and he rushed the ball 10 times on Sunday. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't think Dallas was going to win this game, so hats off to them for figuring it out. But, Seattle definitely should have done a few things differently.
Well, considering Russell Wilson was having his worst game as a professional quarterback against a defense that is so improved and nobody can really
I guess
figure
so.
out? How are we figuring out where this came
Have
from?
they really been that impressive though?
They've been keeping people out of the end zone.
That's
what they've been doing well. They're still giving up yards.
Yeah,
They're still giving up plenty of yards.
I gave that stat last week. I think they were 20. This is before Sunday. They were 24th in total team defense, which is not great. But they were like 8th in points allowed and like 8th in turnovers. So
that's important.
Russell Wilson needed to do some very special stuff last week to keep them up on Washington. I mean, this is a team that has had some shaky performances so far this year. It seems like their grit and their speed and defensive talent and their ability to run some unique plays that are hard to defend down the stretch and in the playoffs works really well in their favor. But so far, I haven't been that impressed.
Now, John, Dallas has improved after last week's performance.
What are they, at 23rd?
They're up to 21st.
Whoa,
They're up to
baby.
21st in total defense.
But still, that's what I'm saying.
They're giving up yards.
But when it counts, I bet you if you looked into it a little bit deeper, their red zone percentage would probably be pretty good. Because usually if you're giving up that few points and that many yards, that means something's doing right between the 20s. Which
Exactly.
is exactly what you need.
Yep.
Or excuse me, the opposite, not between the 20s.
Yep,
from
they're
the goal line.
tied for 8th in points against per game. So
Yep.
they are. They're doing something right when it gets down to the areas that matter.
That is true.
But not right
indeed.
enough, evidently.
No.
I still am not 100% sold on that team. I don't know that Dallas is going to end up being the number one team that comes out of the NFC, because right now they certainly are shaping up that they are right at the top. I think they probably finish somewhere, maybe even in a wild card spot. They might even drop that far. They are Dallas.
One of the other best teams in the NFC right now is in their own division.
Yeah, well,
That's the problem.
it's not without reason to think that they end up getting second behind the Eagles, and they're not good enough to get,
Yeah, you could see 2 11-5 teams in that division right as things stand right now.
I could still only see them winning 4 more games.
There's going to be a lot of good records in the NFC.
Sure.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget you have that confusing thing where somehow Seattle is third in their division right now. Arizona is 5-1 or 4-1. Then you have San Francisco at 4-2.
I would say Arizona's probably the surprise of the NFC.
Yeah, they're
Not that we didn't see it being possible.
Yeah, so you got 3 teams that are of quality in that division. Then you've got the Bears, who are definitely good. There's going to be a lot of teams
the Lions, the Bears,
There's going to be a lot
Packers,
of teams that are up there. Up until what happened on Sunday night, we were thinking that maybe the Giants were about to make a big run. I'm just saying that regardless of that big loss that the Giants had, there are so many teams that you can talk about as being relevant down the stretch here, and it looks like the AFC could end up being what is a little more flat.
I mean, I'd like to agree with you guys, but I think we all know that the Packers will be winning the NFC. So
I can't believe we got through the entire segment talking about Dallas without mentioning the first half MVP so far, DeMarco Murray.
Oh, absolutely.
Stud.
Absolutely.
Even if he slows down and they pull his carries away because he's going to average somewhere like the NFL record for rushes in a season if he's out of this pace right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot.
Don't put too much value on previous year's injuries. That's the lesson there.
Yeah, that is true. Or stealing things. We'll get to that later. Coming up is Jonald's Mailbag, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Jonald's Mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League Show, and since we didn't have a show Monday because I think you guys were crying or pillaging, or I forget, I already
Nick
forgot.
was doing just fine, well,
Yeah?
except for his fantasy week.
Yeah.
I got
nice shot.
multiple texts to which I didn't respond to because there was no need to.
There was crying.
Yeah,
All right.
no, it was great. It was nice. I was trying to,
Sorry, man.
have a little bit of fun.
Tough luck, bro.
All right, since we managed to only
Should be
get through,
illegal, bro.
we only managed to get through 2 games from Sunday. You want to continue talking Week 6 because we didn't talk about it yesterday.
I want to talk about how the Chargers squeaked by.
Yep.
Okay, you
And
guys.
whether
okay.
you're going to be nervous in the long run about
No,
this team
no
just
chance.
unraveling.
No chance.
It's going to happen.
Unraveling.
It's happening.
That was. I agree.
Listen, 5-1 is the end of the line. That's it.
All right, I agreed with your whole interdivision at Oakland could be tough. I think that San Diego pulling that game out. You said it's going to be a tough, close game.
Wait. He said he agreed with us?
No, I agree.
I don't know. There was no agreement.
I said I agree that it could have been now. I'm saying this after the fact.
All right.
I was wrong
In
going
hindsight,
into it.
are you doing the
In
hindsight
hindsight,
thing?
he's doing the
I know, I'm
hindsight
admitting
thing.
to it. I'm saying
right.
I understand why that game was close now that I saw it, but I think that's an outlier. I think that San Diego is that good.
Apology accepted.
I still think this is a 12-win team. I'm sorry. I'm sticking by.
At least you're on a good run now where we can at least talk about it. I didn't think we'd even be able to talk about it.
I think I just think that at worst they're a 10-win team. At worst.
Well,
All right.
Well, now you're certainly not in a bad situation to say that.
Okay, well, when I said it before the season, you guys laughed at me, so...
They'll be a 10-win team now, if they go 5-5?
Okay, what's wrong? 5-4, but sure. 5-5. Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
5 and
We'll
5.
See. Wow, math's hard for
Yeah,
me.
that's
We'll
tough.
see.
That's a little hard.
Putting that one with the 5.
All right, the other game I wanted to talk about from a contender-pretender question standpoint is Carolina and Cincinnati. This game was extremely close, but what the hell did Cam Newton have to do in this game to even be close?
Extremely close. It was tied.
Thank you for that.
It ended in a tie.
Wow, so you mean they had the same score?
It was actually as close as you can get.
Yes.
You can't get closer than this score.
Okay, but let's be honest here. Cam Newton threw the ball 46 times, which for a quarterback, that's a lot. But Don't forget, he also ran the ball 17 times.
But isn't
63 total touches for a quarterback?
This game is just the epitome of why we shouldn't ignore a defining player that can always change a game, that can always be the factor, and it doesn't matter whether the defense is playing awful, whether they can't get anything going in the run game. Cam Newton is the type of player that can keep his team in the game, and that's why they can be good every single year.
Yeah, but...
And just because they lost some players, okay, they lost Steve Smith, more apparent now than ever what kind of loss that was.
Yep.
But then you have Greg Olsen step up. You have Kelvin Benjamin come in and fill in.
Incredible. Yeah.
And he's a rising star. They never had a run game to begin with when Cam Newton first got on this team, and he's only getting better.
Yeah, but at what point is just too many touches too many?
No, I don't think there are right now for Cam Newton.
63 touches?
Well, the quarterback touches the ball on every play. Just to throw that out there.
You will stop with
for
this.
For him to pull it down and run the ball, not a big deal.
17 rushes.
Okay, the thing of it is that Cam Newton and Colin Kaepernick, those are the type of builds that don't get hurt.
They're linebackers.
Yeah,
they're
they
linebackers.
don't get hurt if you take the ball. So I'm not concerned with it. If I was in that situation, I would run Cam Newton all day.
Don't forget, this is a guy who had a rib injury to go into the first week. He missed the first week because of a rib injury. You want him running almost 20 times a game?
But he has done a good job of eliminating those types of hits, I would say, recently. And the big surprise to me in this game was the Bengals defense and how they've kind of fallen off over the last couple weeks.
Mike Zimmer is a real defensive coordinator. He is a good defensive coordinator. So when you take that out of the equation, that matters. Matters a lot.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 seconds, Nick, to talk about it. Go ahead.
Fake spike. Oh my God! Come on, that's amazing.
I love that he knew exactly what I was talking about too.
That was amazing.
All right.
I didn't even see it coming, and I know everything. God.
Andrew Corliss, Aaron Rodgers, yay! Congratulations.
Were you watching?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, you got to watch that one?
I barely caught it. I was in the middle of something, and I was like, I rushed to the room, put it on, and they were in the middle of that drive. The 4th down pass was unbelievable. The fake spike was unbelievable. And the fact that they went to Andrew Corliss for the game winner blew my mind.
It's because he was open.
It was fantastic.
That's why they gave it to him.
No, I think it was because they're the best team in the NFC. But that's just me.
Oh, my God. Wow. Overstatement of the day alert.
I did a little this like pool thing where you combine 3 teams together. They all have different prices and stuff. I took the Packers. So I've got the Packers and the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
I will say this. They definitely shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with against Miami, although Miami has actually done pretty well this year.
Yeah, how's your Ryan Tannehill pick looking?
No, not bad, actually.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, he's actually doing okay.
Ugh.
He has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, he actually had a really good week last week.
Yeah.
I believe he was over 20 fantasy points, so
Ryan
shut it.
Tannehill. All right,
Chill out, Johnny B.
I gave you more time than you deserved on the Packers. We're moving on to Jonathan's mailbag finally. Jim G writes, Kevin Durant just fractured his foot and can miss 2 to 3 months recovering. Do you think Russell Westbrook will have an MVP-like performance in his absence?
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do you remember what happened last year when Russell Westbrook went down? Kevin Durant literally emerged as the MVP.
What's this guy's name? Joel? No. Jim G.
Wow, Joel.
Hey, thanks for writing in Jim G.
I mean, we've talked about this so many times on the show about how these two guys really don't complement one another, but when one of them is on the floor and the other is not, it's just lights out. It's just lights out, and it's a show. Yeah, he's going to be fantastic.
That's what happens when you have 2 absolute alpha dogs on the same team.
There shouldn't be a single night in fantasy where you are worried about having Russell Westbrook on your team. I don't care who they're playing, because he's going to be so active, as he always is, getting rebounds, getting steals. But when you have a guy that is suddenly feeling like he can take 30 shots a game without caring, and even being endorsed,
or without criticism.
being endorsed to take that type of type of action.
Yeah, he has the keys.
I think the real question is this still going to be a team that can be on the top of the West?
Yeah.
And I don't think so.
No, I don't.
I
hold
don't.
on. I don't know about.
I think Kevin Durant matters a little bit more than. Oh, I think we agree.
They're a top. They're obviously a playoff team without Kevin Durant, but I think where they're going to finish, obviously
they're a number one team with Kevin Durant in the mix.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think 5 to 6 in the West is probably where they're going to. But
that's what I'm saying.
This is only 2 to 3 months though. He's not going to miss the whole season.
So what my point is, are the Thunder going to be? Are they going to fall back a little bit to start the season?
Yeah,
I think they will.
Well, here's the thing.
I think they'll be in the top 4.
I actually think this is
I think they'll be in the top 4 when Durant comes back.
I think that would be a reasonable. I think it's reasonable.
It depends how the schedule shakes out early. It depends if they're playing a lot of East, if they're doing a lot of road trips, things like that. I still think they can win a big percentage.
Depends on whether
games.
Russell Westbrook can take over a game pretty much any time, which he can.
Well, here's the thing: is this a blessing in disguise for the Thunder, for the young guys? Because you're going to get a lot of chances to see how these guys develop. Perry Jones, Anthony Roberson, Jeremy Lamb. These are all young kids that are 100% unproven. And they need a chance like this to actually see if they have it.
Jeremy Lamb had the opportunity last year. Reggie Jackson, the big guy that came out of everything that went on last year with Westbrook being out, was Reggie Jackson emerging, and now he's a relevant part of that offense. I don't know if I see many of these other guys stepping up. Even when I see them in garbage time, they're not putting up stats. They're not knocking down shots. They're not guys that can take it off the dribble. There just hasn't been a lot for me that has impressed with the Thunder bench, and I think that's a big reason that they've run into so many issues coming down to the wire and in the playoffs is because they don't have anybody that they can rely upon other than the big two and now Reggie Jackson and Ibaka, obviously.
Well, don't forget that Steven Adams kid from last year, rookie, who was getting playoff minutes in droves because of how well he played towards the end of the season.
I think the big blessing in disguise would be if the Thunder took this chance to showcase Russell Westbrook as a standalone player and trade him. But we've been saying that for the past however many years. It's not going to happen.
I was going to say, what kind of value would you even?
No, their front office.
It would be unbelievable. They could get first rounders for days and years, and they could get unbelievable value.
The trade that makes the most sense in any basketball standpoint is still looming out there. Rajon Rondo is the best deal for Russell Westbrook straight up. Rajon Rondo
I wouldn't do it straight up.
No, sorry, not straight up. And deal and picks and other conditionals. But I'm saying
definitely.
That one player for that one player makes both teams better.
Even if they didn't get a point guard in return, like Zach just said, they have Reggie Jackson, and he can shoulder the load as a point guard.
I personally don't think Steven Adams is going to be much better than Nick Collison was in his prime with the Supersonics.
Stop that.
I really don't. I think he's a little bit stronger than Nick Collison.
He's much bigger.
Just about as quick as he was.
He's a center.
At that time.
Nick
Collison.
Nick Collison is a power forward at best.
So then why does he come in and play center?
Because Kendrick Perkins is the starting center for that team, and he can't play anymore.
I think the return of Perk is pretty much inevitable.
Nice, man.
Yeah, totally happening.
Wow. I'm moving on because we have just veered completely
John's
off the
in love
rails.
with Steven Adams, so we'll keep an eye on this.
All right.
I am. Do your accent. He's from New Zealand. Come on. You're not going to do it, are you?
I don't have
Steve.
I got to listen to him talk in order to form my accent.
I don't understand what that accent was.
I need a
that
lot
John
of experience,
just
and no, that was
He wants to go back to college. That's all I'm saying.
John.
All I'm saying is he wants to go back to college. It's no big deal.
College.
Perfect. All right, we're moving on to the last question. Carson M. writes, Cowboys running back Joseph Randle was arrested for allegedly shoplifting cologne and men's underwear. What is going on here?
One of the funniest things of the year, I think.
Yeah, I think Joseph Randle's been invited to the Jameis Winston party. It's like just the you're an absolute moron party.
Just the party full of hilarity.
The absolute moron party.
The party of clown shoes.
Like, is stealing test bottles of cologne or
stealing, not even a full bottle.
Or stealing crab legs better? I don't know which one's better.
The best part of this
crab legs is still
I
definitely
like crab
better.
legs, yeah.
Nick actually, no, don't forget, there was another part.
Stealing shellfish.
Jameis Winston was apparently cited for stealing soda at a Burger King as well. So that's also included in his wonderful rundown of history. But apparently Nick looked at this before. Not only he bought some cologne at the store.
Yep.
Purchased, gave money for, and then went to the men's underwear.
Because he used the bag. He used the bag as the reason.
Joseph Randle is known in his career as the guy that is always waiting in the wings for his opportunity.
So you're saying,
it just doesn't come. This time he saw one, and he went for it.
So you're saying DeMarco Murray didn't just happen to be at that Dillard's at the time, so he went, you know what, I'm going on a spree.
This is my chance.
I'm taking it. Literally.
But you're saying security in the parking lot apparently stopped him, so the defenders were on the ball. That's what you're saying.
No, the best part is that he said if he knew that he was going to get arrested when the security guard approached him, he would have just walked away. So what you're saying is if you had known you were going to be arrested for doing something illegal, you would have ran away. Well, then just run, because you're supposed to get arrested if you do something illegal.
For a human being making $500,000, I don't care how bad your financial capabilities are as a human being. What the hell are you doing stealing like $40 worth of cologne? Stop it.
It's not
wait a second.
test bottle.
It was $80-something, John.
But it's a test bottle. It's not worth that much.
You're saying it was $80 worth of cologne for a test bottle?
I think the actual cologne was valued at $80.
Oh.
Regardless, stupid.
All right, I'm sorry.
Dummy.
Don't they hand out those test bottles like an eighth full?
They spray at them at you.
Yeah.
That's the
on
worst.
the little papers.
That's the worst thing about Dillard's.
He could just walk in there and literally spray himself and walk out.
I'm gonna paint him as a good guy. I think that somebody in Dillard's sprayed it on him and he went, no, and just grabbed it and ran out the door. That's what I'm picturing.
I just hope that this is remembered, We just need to always remember these types of ridiculous incidents and never let them go away.
Never, ever, ever let this go down. Don't do it. All right, coming after the break, we're not letting the waiver wire go by. We're talking Week 7 waiver wire pickups, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick. Only on The Team.
We are back at the Star Fantasy League show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick.
John Ode.
Yeah, okay.
Johnny
With John Ode.
That sounds about right. Fine. All right, it is Week 7. We are preparing for fantasy for Nick to lose again and for Zach to make fun of him for it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is that what's going to happen?
Yep, probably going to happen.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yep.
At what point is
Cards
Zach,
are not stacked in my favor.
Yeah, Zach, at what point is it just beating a dead horse? Like when he's technically out of the playoffs? Can we stop?
I didn't make him feel too bad today, did I?
No, you.
No, yeah,
I didn't rub it in.
Yeah, I totally just didn't cry in the corner for hours.
I wouldn't have rubbed it in if he hadn't come into my office to complain.
Oh, okay.
Well, how can you explain this? How can you explain that you get the number 1 pick
Nick
when you're
had his
5-0?
best week, and I still beat him.
It's just ridiculous.
Who'd you
I make
pick?
all the right moves, and I
picked up Brandon Oliver last week because
there you go.
I somehow had the number 1
and
pick.
you know what he did?
at
He
the
tooted
waiver
his
wire.
own horn. He said, yeah, I just make the best picks, whenever I get them. Just the way to go.
Yeah, usually teams like Knicks, when they're at the bottom of the draft, they get number 1 pick. That makes sense, right?
So, kick me while
I'm really having trouble this week, though, because I just don't have anybody that I can drop.
Okay, I knew you were going to say that, and I let you say it, and I didn't cut you off. I apologize to the listeners. I apologize to listeners who don't want to continue to hear Zach brag and brag and brag. We're cutting you off. His microphone's going on mute. Done. You should be. You were actually muted. I just muted you. How do you feel about that?
I feel terrible because everybody out there should be listening.
I love that you just didn't see me do it.
All right. You know what?
You are taking information away from them.
Let's let Zach tell everybody what he would do when he gets the number 1 waiver wire pick this week.
No, that comes at the end of the segment. How do you not know how this show works?
No, because it's awesome, because he's going to get it anyway.
All right, you know what?
Ridiculous.
Zach, since your league doesn't work like StarFantasyLeagues.com season-long platform where you actually get the spot you're supposed to get based on how,
How well you're doing?
No, it's not based on how well you're doing. It's based on all the transactions you make. If you make the most transactions, you're at the bottom of the waiver wire. That's how that works. It's pretty obvious.
It is?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'd probably win then, too.
Great. All right, so if you have the number 1 waiver priority pick and you're just sitting up there, who are you picking this week?
McKinnon.
I can't believe that. See, I can't even believe that he is still available.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that is. I mean, I picked him up in a couple leagues a few weeks ago.
It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
To be fair,
this is like when we talk about this stuff and you see these articles, and I hate saying this to everybody out there, but
wrong.
it's like the losers waiver wire. That's what it's like.
Hold
it's
on.
like, oh, so you're thinking about picking up this guy 3 weeks late? He should be gone in your league, but if you're in a league with a bunch of idiots, maybe he's still there.
It's called the Taco's Guide to Waiver Wire.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the league? Taco picks up kickers, and he's really stupid. That is what your league has to be like. If you just type in week blank waiver wire, don't read that article. Do not ever read that article. Go to Star Fantasy Leagues. We'll actually give you the information on how to pick up, players that should not be available.
Yep.
That's what those articles are.
Foresight.
McKinnon.
You need foresight to win your
No,
to win your leagues.
It's pronounced Forsett. It's Forsett, not
I'm not
Forsythe.
why? I'm not picking up Forsett.
No, I thought you were just making a terrible waiver wire pickup. I'm sorry.
I never do.
All right, let's talk about guys who are actually going to be available. Jerick McKinnon most likely will not be available, but obviously we had to mention his name. He was a surprise starter this week and got 78% of snaps over Matt Asiata.
And rightfully so. He's an explosive back. He's a game changer. He's the kind of guy that they need in the absence of Adrian Peterson.
So are we really thinking that this is a tryout for possibly getting rid of Adrian Peterson?
I mean, I think the feeling around the league is that that's inevitable, that he's going to be playing somewhere else next year. I don't understand it, and I don't really approve of that, but that seems to be the feeling.
You have no right.
I agree.
Oh, okay. All right, let's move on to the
They're not backing their superstar. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
he didn't do anything that was that far out of the outside.
Well, a little bit controversial, but we're not going to get into that.
Yep, we've talked about that 10 million times already. We're not going to bring it up anymore, but we are going to bring up the quarterbacks that are available. We're going to go by position, tell you who's available, who you should be picking up. There's a guy on the waiver wire who probably people gave up on when he got injured at quarterback. Carson Palmer is a guy that could potentially be a top 12 quarterback, especially if you just need a backup guy that you're going to fill in here couple weeks.
Yeah, I looked up who he was playing earlier over the next few weeks. He's starter status every week for the next 4, I would say.
Surprise starter this past week, too. I mean, we thought that he was going to be out after seeing a specialist, but came in and he had a pretty darn good game. And, yeah, he's definitely, especially with the weapons that they have, him and Michael Floyd clicked. And now that he's back, they're going to keep clicking.
Yeah, having Michael Floyd and Fitzy and then Ellington, it's awesome for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that John Brown kid's looking pretty good, too.
Yeah. Great third receiver.
Yeah, definite up-and-comer.
Great.
Yeah, that's one of those things where Carson Palmer is making receivers. Because last year it was Andre Roberts, who looked really good as a third receiver. John Brown's looking good as a third receiver. We kind of have to think that it's something to do with Carson Palmer.
Yeah, if you're the type of guy that didn't end up with a capable backup quarterback or somebody who's flopped a little bit, maybe you took Jake Locker late. I don't know. But if you are, get Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
What about somebody like Derek Carr? I feel like this Oakland team is just built for throwing the ball a lot. We've seen some.
You mean they suck?
That's correct. They are going to be. I'm saying they're going to be behind.
They're built for being behind.
That's exactly what they're built for. They're a terrible team. They have the least talent in the league.
I'm still not picking up Derek Carr.
Why not?
I think to expect the game that he had against the Chargers is ridiculous. I think at best you're going to be looking at 2 touchdowns. And it's not horrible, but that's more of I think you're reaching on that one. I'd rather pick up a guy like Palmer, or there's a couple other guys out there, like Tannehill has a soft schedule coming up. Kirk Cousins is still available. I'd rather have one of those guys where I think at least the ceiling is a little bit higher.
Kirk Cousins is available in your taco leagues, though. I don't think Kirk Cousins is highly
I don't know.
Available.
I think a lot of people are scared off by the turnovers. And he does turn the ball over. So
I'll be honest, I accidentally somehow picked up RG3 in a 20-team league, and I don't know who dropped him. I have absolutely no clue. But I am very happy to have him as my backup.
I wouldn't be.
The days are ticking.
I don't even care.
I told you I know that he's going to start.
All that matters is that RG3 is going to come back. If he gets injured again, that's one thing. But Kirk Cousins is not going to be in the starting lineup once RG3 is healthy.
And that's the depressing truth.
I'm right.
I didn't say that you. I agreed with you the entire time. I
completely
agree.
No.
But I don't think he should be. I don't think he should be. That is my point.
All right.
You still don't think he should be?
No.
Okay.
You have any more quarterbacks before we move on to the big position?
I really think you need to consider Tannehill. He has Chicago and Jacksonville in the next 2 weeks. If you need a solution right now, those are 2 great defenses to go against. Could be a great.
I don't have a problem
with
that. I don't have a problem with that. I think he's done well the past couple of weeks. I think he's answered all the critics and he's gotten it together. And some of these games they could end up being down a little bit. Who knows? And that could benefit him too.
Watch, and now Joe Philbin's going to come out and say, "Oh, I did that whole I don't know who's starting to motivate him." I guarantee that quote is going to come out.
I would take credit for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
Good job, you jerk. You basically
be like, see, I knew he had it in him.
Yeah,
I just wanted to light a fire under his.
You tried to kill your quarterback's confidence, and you accidentally ended up pumping him up. Good job, Joe Philbin. Great coaching. All right, let's move on to the running back position.
Son of Regis.
Yeah, we already mentioned that Jerick McKinnon would probably be the biggest pickup of the week. If he's available and your league sucks, you can do that. That's fine. I think the most interesting pickup is probably going to come from this New England backfield because Stephen Ridley sadly went down with the torn ACL. He's gone for the season. They also lost Gerard Mayo, but that has nothing to do with fantasy or the offense, obviously. But, I mean, who are we looking at to really emerge on this offense?
I think this is where we say that this is one that you just avoid.
This is pickup impossible.
I like that a lot. Pickup impossible.
This is the backfield. You're never going to know who's going to get the most touches. Shane Vereen could be the guy one week. Brandon Bolden could be the guy the next week. And then, hey, James White could show up and have a week.
Nope, scratch.
I think we're going to see one of these two guys, Bolden or White, end up being the early back ground guy, because Shane Vereen has kind of shown that he's not capable of doing that.
He's a pinball guy.
Right.
He's a Darren Sproles guy.
But who's it going to be? I have no idea. And the only reason I'm picking up one of them, and honestly it would be James White for me, just because Brandon Bolden, I think, has had his shot and shown that he's not
he
going
looked
to.
decent last season in a couple, and then he disappeared. Never
decent
been
in a couple games. Like
decent isn't exactly what you want as a head coach. You want a guy that you think, hey, maybe he can blow up.
Very true.
But with how the Patriots are playing, they're going to want somebody that they have confidence in, and that might end up being Bolden. And they just might not put White out there enough to get him the kind of opportunity, give everybody else the kind of fantasy feedback that they want. But even so, if I'm going to pick somebody up, it's going to be White, because I don't see Bolden being a good long-term solution.
And I think that White's going to be available because a lot of people picked him in like 12th to 14th
and
round.
with some of the guys that are out there this week, he might be combed over. So it's an opportunity to get him and see how it pans out.
A lot of these other guys that I have listed at running back this week are like secondary guys who potentially could be playing like a lot. Like a guy like Isaiah Crowell in Cleveland, Terrence West's healthy scratch was very confusing because we thought he was going to be the big second back to Ben Tate, and it turns out Crowell's kind of stealing the spotlight there.
Yeah, Crowell actually was a freshman of the year in the SEC, so that's something to go off of, but he has clearly solidified himself as a second back. Ben Tate has a stranglehold on the starting job,
which is incredible.
He's injury prone, so you never know. I think he is definitely worth a look. And Trey Mason would be my other one because he showed that he has some explosive capabilities as well. And Zach Stacy has just not done a good job. I don't understand what he's doing.
No, they've got two plotters in that backfield. Stacy has really been relegated to that. I'm surprised because I was high on Zach Stacy last year. I thought he had the talent to have a future in the league as a starting guy. But Trey Mason is bringing that type of excitement. With the way that things are going for the Rams, kind of looking a little bit desperate at that point, there's no easy solution for them. They might as well get the guy out there. If it doesn't happen in the next few weeks where he ends up taking the majority of the carries, it'll happen eventually.
You know what's really funny?
He did take the majority of the carries, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a big Trey Mason. Yeah. You know what the funny thing is? Around this point, or a couple weeks from now, last season was when Zach Stacy appeared in the offense and started taking the boatload. So maybe they do the same thing with Trey Mason this season.
I think the majority of the carries for the Rams on Sunday was because they ran the ball like 0 times.
Yeah, so that does sound about right. All right, anybody else you're interested in? There's guys names like Storm Johnson, Darren McFadden or MJD in Oakland, Jawan Thompson in Denver, or any of these guys, even guys
I'm interested in Darren McFadden.
I was going to say, if you get down that far, if you get down to the Darren McFadden.
If you have the 7th waiver priority.
Pick up McFadden. He is definitely the more explosive of the two, and it seems like he's the lead back, so I would definitely go with him.
But does it matter, though? You know this.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely it does.
Because he does have the raw athletic talent to be able to put up a big game for you here and there. If you're in a position where one of your two guys is on a bye, somebody goes down, like we've seen with a lot of people going down this week, there are a lot worse guys that you can put in than Darren McFadden.
I think it was just inevitable that we were going to reach this point because McFadden he's so injury prone and he just kills so many fantasy teams that he was eventually going to become waiver wire fodder. He's the emerging guy in Oakland, and Oakland is still a football team.
Yeah, it's clear that MJD's time is up.
So wait, Darren McFadden went from being so overrated that he actually went all the way around, turned around, and became underrated as a waiver wire guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a classic flip-flop.
I was going to say that. No, that is – people stop that. That is not a flip-flop.
No, I had him on one of my teams, and I was like, it's week 3. I'm going to just bide my time a little bit and see how it goes.
Yep.
Oh, so you actually pulled the wait and see instead of the drop, pick up,
I'm a big proponent of the wait and see.
All right.
Especially on guys I have confidence in historically.
All right, so we're going to wait and see to talk about the rest of the waiver wire for Week 7 after the break, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We are back, and you don't have to wait and see on the waiver wire pickups this week. We're going to tell you about them right now. We still have wide receiver and tight end to talk about before we close up the show, but if you're not playing StarFantasyLeagues.com daily contest, what are you doing?
Now's the time.
That is true.
It already was the time. It is the time now. It's going to be the time again.
Well, now is the time where your leagues for season long might be completely done because you started 0-6 or 0-7.
Or 1-5 and yep.
Sure, yeah. Those things happen. So if they did happen, come to StarFantasyLeagues.com. You can play daily fantasy football for anywhere from free all the way up to $109. We got guaranteed prize pools, over $16,000 in guaranteed prize pools. This week, use the bonus code FREE14, FREE14, for a 100% deposit bonus to $2,000 and an $11 credit. I can't even get all that out in one breath because it's so much value for our listeners.
But don't throw huge clumps at the wall to see if they stick. Listen to the show.
Yeah, that actually will help. We do the Weekend Fantasy Focus on Friday to prepare you for daily fantasy on Sunday.
Which I'm pretty sure I won this past week. So.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Oh.
Well, aren't you nice?
That's good. He won something.
Yeah, by picking Kyle Orton. Congratulations, Kyle Orton's great. Yeah, good job.
Kyle Orton, great pick.
Hey, I didn't pick Kyle Orton for the Bills, okay? The Bills picked Kyle Orton.
You picked Chicago's Kyle Orton. No.
That's profound. I like that.
All right, we need to talk about quickly the waiver wire pickups for Week 7 for the wide receiver position because there are actually a bunch of guys who are emerging as guys you should probably be playing.
I think there's two that you need to focus on.
Okay.
Andre Holmes and Devontae Adams.
Perfect.
I think there's three. If somehow Odell Beckham is still around.
Okay,
yeah.
That's the taco league of the week. You know that.
I got him last week in a couple leagues.
Yeah.
I actually think.
And if he hadn't had that little 4 for 45 yards or whatever the heck he had last week, he would probably still be out there in a lot of leagues.
Agreed.
That is true, but especially with Victor Cruz going down, I think out of anybody on that New York Giants team, he has the highest upside of literally anybody on that offense right
Agreed.
now.
Yep.
I like him, considering they didn't do anything with Andre Williams. No,
yep.
he just.
As far as Andre Holmes goes, he is a deep threat, and he has been completely underutilized. Now that Derek Carr is settling in, I think you saw what he's capable of this week. So he's going to be a boomer bust guy.
Well,
He
wasn't just a deep threat guy the last couple of weeks. He has 20 targets in his last 2 games, almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's not just being utilized as a deep threat, which is good for him.
Understandable, but what I'm saying is they have James Jones on the other side. He's definitely more of a possession type.
True.
And Andre Holmes loves to stretch the field. Derek Carr loves to throw the ball downfield. So as far as Devontae Adams goes, he is definitely the third receiver in that Packers offense. They spread the ball around a ton, and Aaron Rodgers, he came out and said he saw him open on film, and he got him the ball.
I feel like I said that last week.
Yeah.
I know that we both did.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was just a matter of time we saw some flashes of what the potential that this guy had, and we all know that Jared Boykin wasn't going to be the long-term solution. They got a guy that's about to break out.
The Packers love doing that. They take guys from small schools and they turn them into great receivers, a la Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb. They do a great job.
I feel like another guy who's poised to actually play well is Preston Parker for the Giants. He's a guy who was filling in because Odell Beckham was injured to start the season. Now that he's going to be going back into his role probably as a slot receiver for this team, I think he could be interesting for like a PPR standpoint.
Yeah, if Eli Manning didn't suck, that would be a good idea.
He's actually been okay aside from that last game where he was terrible.
Yeah, he has been pretty bad. You're right.
All right, can we please move on and talk quickly about Larry Donnell's disappearing act the last 2 weeks? You know he actually got like a bunch of targets when Odell Beckham didn't like ever play on this team, right?
Yeah, I think that he's back in the shuffle now.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. If you were dumb enough to drop him in the past 2 weeks thinking you wouldn't touch anything,
drop him.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's going to be available on the waiver wire this week.
Really?
Yep.
You wouldn't drop him after the 1 dud.
If you dropped him after 2,
well, that means you'd be dropping him today.
Okay, you could have gotten really angry, seen the game, and gone, whoops, screw you, Larry Donnell. Yeah, exactly.
It's over.
Remember, people do dumb things in fantasy. It just happens.
That's why you need to listen.
That's why you need to play on StarFantasyLeagues.com, too. We're going to give you the best information and allow you to play for the most guaranteed money on Sunday of the NFL season.
And you don't need to steal it either.
Yeah, that is true. You do not need to steal it at all.
Dillards!
And if Jerick McKinnon is still available in your season-long waiver wire, you're just doing fantasy football wrong.
Pick him up!
And pick him up. Take it easy, guys.
Johnny Bay!